You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And here on Later with Mo Kelly, we love to talk about movies, not just movies that we see, but the industry, which is at its foundation. We talk about how business has left California. The movie business has left California. More and more films are being made in states like North Carolina, Georgia, or even in Canada. Toronto is a big place for a lot of TV shows and movies to be filmed, where those cities serve as, I would say, generic backdrops if they want to use actual cityscapes, or they're building complete sound stages like Tyler Perry has done in Atlanta. And you have big movie studios such as Marvel/Disney, using these sound stages and studios like Tyler Perry's in Georgia and other places in North Carolina, spending millions and millions of dollars outside of California. Locally, Mayor Karen Bass and also statewide, Governor Newsom, they've been trying to woo back. It's weird because they're trying to woo back Hollywood to Hollywood and filming and creating content here in California, specifically in the Hollywood area, but it has been an uphill climb. Mayor Bass has convened a task force to address ways of helping the industry. Quote, "Let's get some film professionals in and let's take their advice because this is a crisis and we need all hands on deck." And you know that Governor Newsom has tried to provide incentives and I would say like financial
tax credits.
Tax credits,
that's
right?
The most important thing, yeah.
Right. But here is the thing: it costs less to do just about everything in another state, even down to craft services, even down to security for a set design. All of that costs less. Now, if you're doing a movie which is mostly CGI and post-production, that's one thing. You can do that basically anywhere. But as far as the physical set design, the physical process of making a film, it's often less expensive elsewhere. And there is a trickle-down effect. If you have fewer movies being made, and we know that's true because we've always talked about the numbers, and you have fewer movies being made in California, who do you think that most impacts? Oh, movie theaters. There are fewer movies which are actually going to movie theaters. There are fewer movies being made here in California, and also movies are staying less time in actual theaters. We talk about that as well. So movie theaters are the ones which suffer the most. I think that there's no way back. I don't know. And Twala and I were talking off air during the break about just the future of radio and how, think about it, as much as we love KFI, and I know you love KFI, but KFI is the exception to the rule because anyone can get in their car. Think about when we do the game, name that movie called Classic. We have people calling in from Japan. We have people calling in from states all around the United States. Why? Because we now live at a time where no matter where you are, you can get in your car, and if you know how to use Bluetooth, or if you're at home and you have the iHeartRadio app, you can listen to just about any station or get any type of content you want any time of day. So just because you move to Japan, it doesn't mean that you can't have KFI every single day. How has that impacted our industry? Well, it's become a largely digital industry, and you're seeing fewer and fewer physical radio stations. This building that we're in right now, this iHeart Media building, yeah, KFI is one of the few stations which it's the number one news talk station in America, but people don't need the physical building to get what we do. In other words, we don't need the radio transmitter like we once did. That's how just radio is changing. Film is also changing, where you have all these content creators all around the world. You can create a movie on your iPhone. You can create a movie for $100,000 on a credit card and get that out there to the masses. You can put it up on YouTube, where the traditional movie studio as we once knew it does not have the same power it once did. We talked to Mark Ronner about how it doesn't take a lot of money to produce a horror movie. You don't need to do that here. You can do that anywhere. And it's very difficult to compete against that. You have a movie like Blood and Honey, whatever it was titled. That was made for $100,000.
Look, the new film coming out, and Mark, you're probably going to be going to see this, but the new zombie flick, 28 Years Later, that was shot entirely on an iPhone 15.
Case in point.
Steven Soderbergh released a theatrical movie that he shot on an iPhone, the one set in the insane asylum. Yeah, and it wasn't bad either.
No, because the technology is such that you could do this. Now, all this is cyclical, and if you've worked in entertainment as long as we have, then you would know this. Once upon a time, the only way that you could get music was to listen to the radio station. That's no longer true. You can get your favorite song on Spotify. You can get your favorite song on YouTube. You don't have to listen to 94.7. We play the hits every hour on the hour. 18 songs in a row, uninterrupted, commercially. You don't have to do that anymore. Radio has changed. Television has changed. You don't have to watch broadcasts or what they call linear TV. You can get an app. You don't even have to pay for it. You can be like Mark Ronner again, not even subscribe to any cable or satellite service, not see anything live, just get it all on the app when you want. It's fundamentally changed how we consume entertainment. And the movie industry is going through that same evolutionary process where content creators don't have to go to Hollywood, don't have to have millions of dollars, don't have to use a studio which is physically located in the state of California in which to get a movie created and also distributed. That's another thing. It used to be where you had to go through the studios to get actual distribution. No, not anymore. Not anymore. And that is what, going back to the story, how California has struggled in the past 10 years of not only retaining movie studios and movie productions in California, but struggled to keep up with the evolution of the industry. Part of it is, yes, you can make movies for less money in different states and even different countries. But also a part of it is you're not relegated to a physical location to make or distribute any movie. California used to have a corner on the market as far as soundstage capabilities, distribution capabilities. We don't have that anymore. That's not a function of it just being, less expensive to film a movie in Georgia. No, you don't have to come to California for anything anymore. You can get a distribution deal and not deal with the major studios. You can just create something which is really cool, go on the festival circuit, someone will buy it, and then put it in theaters. And I don't know if there is an answer as to what California needs to do to lure back movie productions. This is something where I don't know if you could, the horse may be out of the barn, the toothpaste is out of the tube. Entertainment continues to evolve. We talked about music, we talked about radio, talk about television and movies, and it will find its natural equilibrium over time, but the way things were will never be the way things are going forward. And California and LA may never have the type of monopoly that it once had. Yes, you can throw out the tax incentives, the rebates, you can do all those things which would make it more attractive for movie productions to be done here in California. But I don't know if you can sweeten the pot enough because movies aren't made solely in California anymore. You don't have to go to Warner Brothers Studios and use their backlot to film a TV show anymore because there's just too many other places you can do it. What does that mean for movies that we like? Well, it's good because we get content from all these different places and we have all these platforms where we get to watch them and we can watch them whenever we want. But the unintended consequences is because of that huge landscape and we have all these content creators and we have people making movies on iPhones. Well, if you can make a movie on iPhone, what the hell can Universal Studios do for you? Other than distribute your movie. And even then, you may not need Universal Studios because you got places like Tubi now. which will distribute your content. You don't have to go the traditional route of, well, we have to make sure that it appears on a cable channel or we have to make sure that it's available in theaters. How about neither?
Most of the things that we like on Netflix are actually foreign action releases that just
they've dubbed them.
On they dubbed or whatever. That's a game changer.
Right. Because that means that Netflix isn't obligated to buy content from the major studios. I've enjoyed all these action movies from around the world. The dubbing is kind of suspect, but the movies are still good enough. And it's things that I haven't seen before. I'm pleased. Now, maybe not good for the studios, but it's not about the studios as far as I'm concerned. It's about me and my enjoyment. If I'm going to pay $23 a month for Netflix, I'm going to make sure that I'm satisfied. So the long story short is, I don't know if there is an answer to what ails California and movie productions here. And when we come back, we're going to tell you about the other end of this, where you're talking about that supply line as it goes all the way down the line to the end consumer. Well, what are theaters trying to do, given all that we've discussed? We'll tell you about that next.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI Mo Kelly, live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. I don't want you to get the wrong idea. I don't want you to get the idea that I'm rooting against either the movie industry or rooting against movie theaters. It could not be further from the truth. I'm a kid who grew up loving the communal experience of going to the movies. Movies are funnier. The jokes are funnier when in the company of dozens of others. They're emotionally more impactful in the company of others. There's something about the communal experience of movies which can't be duplicated in a home environment. But at the same time, there's certain things I don't have to put up with when I stay home and as opposed to going to the movies. I don't want mother fathers kicking the back of my chair. That drives me bat crap crazy. I can't stand the kids talking through the movie. Or I call them kids. They might be young adults. I can't stand the phones. When I'm seeing the phones light up and I'm hearing the bzz, bzz, people texting and talking all throughout the movie. Those are the things that I just can't deal with. And as I get older, I don't want to deal with it. And because the home theater experience has improved so much in the past 10 years, the TVs have gotten bigger. They've gotten sharper and brighter. They have all these professional surround sound systems attached to them. And the refrigerators. Oh, my goodness, the refrigerators. Yes. My refrigerator is better than any concession stand at any theater ever, okay? I have all the trimmings. And I have also all the alcohol that I want at a much better price than the theater.
You buried the lead there. That's what you needed to start with.
Well, when we go to the theater in Burbank, when the guys, I don't want to say which one, but when we go to the theater, there is a bar which is attached to the theater. And that's kind of cool because I like having an adult beverage right before I sit down at a movie. And that's kind of born out of the home theater experience. And you're seeing that theaters, as they try to modernize themselves, they're trying to offer more and more. Here's a word for you, Mark. Accoutrement,
just like Winnebago Man. I love it. Yeah.
They're trying to offer more and more stuff, which mimics the home theater experience.
Well, there was a chain of, a handful of different theaters that you could order food and get drinks at, and that was the main appeal of them. They would sometimes run second-run movies, but those were great. And even if they had like a $5 movie night, you'd still go in there and spend $40 or $50 because you were sitting there being served food and drinks. Those were a lot of fun.
When I go to Sinopolis, and I posted some of this, it's the one in Inglewood, right across the street from the Intuit Dome. That's where they have the robots would come deliver the food from the kitchen. They also have it where you can order food and they'll have a waiter or waitress or someone who will bring the food to you during the movie, bring you alcohol during the movie, and it's a great experience. But there are few movies that I actually want to see that, because some movies are not worth the theater. They're just not. I'll wait until they hit a home streaming service. The reason why we're talking about this, theater owners, and I'm talking about all the big names, AMC, Regal, Cinemark, Cineplex, Marcus Theaters, B&B Theaters, Harkins Theaters, Santikos Entertainment. They're dropping $2.2 billion to modernize and upgrade the movie-going experience. Why? Because they know that is the only way they can hope to keep up with what you have at home, what I have at home, and what Mark has at home. And what we have at home are creature comforts. We have the best place to sit. We can pause a movie. We can rewind. We can answer a phone. We can multitask, play on our computer. We can text and not worry about disturbing anyone. We can do all the things you just can't or shouldn't do in a theater setting. So you have to offer something that is equal to that or better. And so theaters are saying we have to up our game or we're going to die as an industry. And you think, how many theaters are there? Well, for a wide release, for a movie which is going to be everywhere like an Inside Out 2, you're talking about 4,500 theaters nationwide. Just about, give or take a few. So there's a lot of theaters which can be saved, which need to be saved, and they're going to spend $2.2 billion because the movie theater industry has not rebounded since the pandemic, not completely. And we've talked about this time and time again, and they're still struggling. Even the summer box office, even though Inside Out 2 did very well, even though Deadpool and Wolverine did very well, both of those movies taking in more than $1 billion. Overall, summer box office was down 13% just from last year, which was down from the year before that. There's a progression and pattern. Now, what they're trying to do, they're going to have laser projection technology, immersive sound systems, like the stuff we have at home. More comfortable seating, like the stuff we have at home. State-of-the-art air conditioning, like I have at home. Can't speak for Mark. He maybe has a fan, but I got air conditioning.
Well, I'll tell you, that's a real thing. On a hot day,
yes,
going to a movie theater with air conditioning, that for a lot of people, that's a major attraction.
It is, because you have to leave your house. Maybe you're elderly. Maybe you don't want to go through the whole process of getting in a car and making that driving in a hot, uncomfortable environment to watch a show and deal with all the other distractions and things that I was talking about to get back in your car. And you may not think that it's worth that type of almost an investment. If you're going to spend at least $30 for 2 tickets, at least $30, and another $25 on food and everything, you have to be pretty damn sure that's how you want to spend your time. And the movies were saying, we're going to make it worth your time. Hopefully. They're even going to put in new carpeting. Look, I'm just telling you what they're trying to do.
If they could just get people to keep their phones in their pockets and shut up, I'd be a lot more likely to go more frequently.
I think so, too. And I'm quite sure they're probably going to have to institute or implement some sort of process which is going to be just, I don't want to say heavy-handed, but you have to deal with that element because it really detracts from the movie experience. It is to the point where I think about that more than the movie I want to see. It's like, am I willing to put up with this? Am I ready to put up with it? Am I in the right frame of mind? Because I don't want to get into a situation because they're going to start mouthing off, then I'm going to start mouthing off, and it's going to ruin the movie, not only for me, but someone else. And then I'm going to have to leave and fight to get my money back. And I don't want to go through that all the time. I really don't.
No, I don't want my fight or flight system kicking in every time I go to a movie.
Right. But it's something I consciously think about. Is this a movie that I can watch at this time of day? Because I refuse to go to a movie, if at all possible, on a Friday night.
Oh, you're just asking for trouble.
Yeah. And those are the things I got to think about. Do I want to deal with that in a theater and ruin the experience possibly? Or do I want to stay home and enjoy something else on streaming and just fall asleep and not have to deal with any of the extras?
On your 80-incher, I might remind everyone.
Yes.
I've only got a 50-incher.
Well, if you have to whip it out and compare, okay.
Well, there's no need to make it filthy, but I mean, you have...
Oh, so I'm making it weird.
Yeah,
now.
you really are. You have a screen that's bigger than a lot of little independent theaters have.
That's true. That's true. And that's why I usually spend most of my time at home. It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. We are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And speaking of home entertainment, when we come back, we have a review of the new Disney Plus series, Agatha All Along, and Max's The Penguin, starring Colin Farrell. We'll tell you about that next.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And yesterday marked the debut of the new Disney Plus series, Marvel Cinematic Universe series, Agatha All Along. And it is a sequel, a direct sequel to the Disney Plus series, WandaVision. The first 2 episodes dropped. I watched them both today. And all I can say is actress Kathryn Hahn, who stars as Agatha Harkness, she is so underrated. She is fantastic in this role. I love this series. Now, I will say that if you haven't seen WandaVision, if you're not a Marvel Cinematic Universe fan, none of this is going to make sense. Let me just say, it's not going to make any sense. You have to have seen the preceding series to have any idea what is happening in those first 2 episodes, because it directly relates to the last episode of WandaVision. And this story is telling, I don't want to give away too much, but it's talking about a witch who went up against Elizabeth Olsen's Scarlet Witch in WandaVision, lost her powers, and she's now trying to get them back. And it's a ragtag group of would-be, wannabe witches, and they're now on this path to helping Agatha Harkness get her powers back. It's funny. It's not for kids, as a matter of fact. I don't want to give it away. But the first episode makes it very clear. It's not for kids. You think, well, it's Disney Plus. I don't give a damn. It's not for kids. It's not that it's like it's vulgar or adult content. But if you want your 5-year-old to watch it, you're probably going to be made very uncomfortable.
Yeah. This is a series that has excelled where many other Marvel series have failed, in that it starts off right away bringing you in. There are a lot of other series where it took a little time for them to get up and running, which is what caused a lot of people to fall off and miss it before it got to the good part, so to speak. This one, out the gate, it gives you something that you've never ever seen, literally, in a Disney Plus, much less Marvel Cinematic Universe series. The humor, the dialogue, everything about it reads very, very adult. It is from a fantastic creative team within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and recency bias aside, this is on par with being among the greats when it comes to Marvel Cinematic Universe D Plus series.
Mark Ronner, you've seen it, haven't you?
Yeah, I watched both of the episodes that were available last night. And I went, because you're talking about her butt.
I didn't want to give it away. That was the whole point.
Spoilers.
That's not a huge spoiler. That's not a huge spoiler.
Oh,
It is a spoiler.
It is not a
has
huge
seen
spoiler.
her butt.
I didn't expect her ass to pop up on screen. I didn't.
No.
If you have
Her raw butt. It was not a pantied butt. It was pure.
It's buck ass naked. Buck ass.
I think if you have a family and you're settling in to watch this, you should be warned ahead of time. You're going to see some butt.
Hey, this is post Deadpool and Wolverine. It's a different Marvel product that they're putting out there. I don't want to say they're going back to basics, because they were never this far into the adult lane, but they're making it very clear that they're not afraid of offering more mature content.
No, and in fact, about 9 minutes in, there was a line that made me stop and do a complete double take, like a Warner Brothers character. I go, what? Did she just say that?
Yes, she did. She did. Yes, I had to replay it to make sure.
You too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't think I liked it as much as you guys did. And in fact, I may have to do my own rebuttal tomorrow night because it struck me as just kind of a light comedy that didn't get interesting until the end of the second episode. But you'd have to hate America to dislike Catherine Hahn. She's terrific.
But see, that's why I think, and I talked about this with Twala, that's why I think they give you the 2 episodes to give you a more complete picture of the series, where it's going, where if you're not completely in the know or caught up, the 1 episode doesn't give you a lot of context. Again, I don't want to give it away, but by the end of the second episode, to your point, you're running full speed into that storyline.
It really does seem to me like a mark of the streaming serialized show era that you got a 2-episode warm up. That was the intro right there. It's like, it reminded me of the Kevin Costner Horizon Western. That whole 3-hour movie was a warm up for the next 3.
But are you going to see the next 3 though?
I am going to watch the rest of the Westerns, and I will probably stick with, there are 9 episodes. I'll probably stick with this show, but we have a severe difference of opinion here. I don't think it's anywhere near close to the strongest Marvel stuff, but my opinion may be changed by what comes next.
Well, that's Twala. I would not say it's the strongest. I said I thoroughly enjoyed it. I will reserve judgment until we get to the end, if only because I will judge it against Falcon and Winter Soldier.
That is the gold standard for those. That was really well done, and that really tore a page from Captain America, the Winter Soldier, which to me is the best of all the Marvel movies.
We agree on that.
Oh, one thing I should add for people who haven't seen it yet, you should also watch the last Doctor Strange movie if you want to make complete sense of what you're saying.
If you want to make complete sense, you need to watch Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, because it does dovetail with that as well.
But you got to do it in order. You have to watch WandaVision, then Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, then
this.
Yes.
This is not an entry-level show.
No. And when I say it is among the best, I'm talking about the best introduced shows. I don't know how this show may end. It may end with a crash and burn, but as far as all of the other Marvel Cinematic Universe Disney Plus series, the only one that grabbed you out the gate and was just like, oh my God, what was that? Was Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because of that action-packed entry into that series that was like, that was just one of the best action sequences we've ever seen. That was different and a cut above the rest, which had everyone wondering, why wasn't this series first, right? All of the other series, Loki, it was a gradual build. You had to really sit and watch it. Miss Marvel, that was more for a younger tween audience and things like that. This one, the writing and how quickly they get you up to speed without wasting any time. I'm like, yeah, this is on its way to being among the best series that we've seen, if it stays on track. Now, if it falls off, well, then it falls off.
When we come back, we have to do what we said we're going to do, and we have a quick review of the new series Penguin on Max. That's next as we close out. KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
They say you're not supposed to do this in radio, but we're so behind on the clock, we can't give Penguin its due amount of time for a review. So we're going to tease the review tomorrow. Mark Ronner will be doing a full review on the Penguin tomorrow. But I will say this. I wondered going in whether a show about, a character from the Rogues Gallery, Penguin, could stand on its own. You have a show in the Batman universe without Batman. That has always been strange to me. You had now 2 Joker movies without Batman. That's strange to me. It doesn't have the same level of appeal. I commend Colin Farrell for putting on all that makeup for each of these episodes, turning into Oswald Cobblepot. But I don't know if the idea of the show is going to hold up for me. But Mark Ronner will give his full review tomorrow.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. That was my first plan when I went home tonight. In fact, I spent last night watching Agatha. So a really good nerdly couple of nights. The thing about these shows is that you never think you need them. Like there was a whole show on, I think it was Epics, about the young days of Alfred the Butler. And I'm like, who the hell needs this?
We spoke to the star,
Jack
Bannon.
Yeah, and that show turned out to be terrific, and he was terrific in it. So this Penguin show is taken out of the kind of darker Matt Reeves Batman universe from that most recent Robert Pattinson movie. And again, I like the Burgess Meredith Penguin from the 1966 show, the one with the cigarette holder who goes, quack, quack, quack. But I'm hearing really good things about this, so we must give it the benefit of the doubt. And here's another thing about Batman that we just have to accept. We talk about the 66 Batman and the Tim Burton Batman, and there have been a bunch of different ones. There is room for every version of Batman that you love. It's not a zero-sum Batman game, okay?
No, it's not. There's room, but it doesn't mean I want to be in the room. Okay.
And does that apply to penguins too? Because it's like Batman, yeah, but how many different penguins do we need? Really?
I was skeptical about it. And also, why hire an actor who looks like Colin Farrell if you're just going to cover him up with loads and loads of prosthetics? Why not hire somebody who's kind of in the ballpark of the way that looks? But I'm hearing good stuff about that too.
We shall see. I've just never been a fan of these ancillary characters. You know, I couldn't get into the show Gotham because we never got to see Batman. We got to see a young Bruce Wayne. That's not really all that interesting to me. I really couldn't get into the Joker movies, plural, because, you know, Joker without Batman, you can't have, look, what's the point of Joker with no Batman? You know, because if not for Batman, Joker takes over Gotham. If not for Batman, Penguin takes over Gotham. One without the other, I don't know if it has the same allure for me.
I have to admit that I might be in the minority, but I absolutely hated the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie. I thought it was just stale, and it looked like somebody'd run a superhero movie through a Scorseseizer.
It's just a guy who was crazy. He was not a criminal mastermind.
Yeah, you're not alone in your dislike for that.
No, in fact, look up A.O. Scott's review of it, of the New York Times, and that really sums up what I think at great length that we don't have time to get into right here. But it's the most I know he won an Oscar for that, but it's the most self-indulgent, exhausting performance I've ever seen. I couldn't wait to get out of that movie.
Look, if they called, what was the character's name? Arthur Fleck?
Yeah.
If they just called it Crazy Arthur Fleck, that would have been fine. But it wasn't even the name of the original Joker character. It really had nothing to do with what we knew within a Batman universe of Joker.
Well, here's what's promising about the Penguin thing, which is that regardless of how you and I may have felt about Robert Pattinson as Batman, I don't think it's aging really well, even a couple of years on. That universe, that kind of darker Batman being a detective universe, I think that was really good, and I am excited to see something else in that kind of setting.
Nah, unpopular opinion. I hated it.
Really?
I didn't hate the Batman. I thoroughly disliked Joker. I have no desire to see the sequel.
It's a musical.
I know, and I love musicals, and that makes it even more absurd to me. I think you're mocking your own movie, and I say this as someone with great affection for Michael Uslan. So I'm being very, very honest here. I just don't see the need for these movies and shows which don't have the main draw on any level. Even in the Suicide Squad, you had an appearance of Batman. Short, but you still had an appearance of Batman.
What'd you think about Titans?
Which season? The first two seasons I was in. The third season I was out.
Really? I never missed an episode, and I thought they had a great Robin in Titans as well.
Really? Robin or Nightwing?
Whatever. Same thing. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
No, I liked it because it was adult, it was edgy, and they didn't have Batman, but they had enough of a Batman-esque Bruce Wayne where I accepted
the presence
it.
was there.
A presence, yeah.
And it was a show that was about an actual team, not offshoots. Like the Titans are an actual team, and it's a successful comic book, so that's why that worked.
We got to get out of here, but we'll see you tomorrow. KFI AM 640, we're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
Free-range, non-genetically modified, handcrafted, artisanal, gluten-free, stimulating talk. KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.